Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Me and my group members today, we are excited to present our youth physical activity intervention program that we made specifically for this class. The program that we made is acronymed as PLAY and stands for play. This stands for promote lifestyle and youth. And our goal is to design a program that doesn't just feel like exercise, but it's an essential part of adolescence and essential to growing up.
Our target population is adolescents, and the demographics we'll be focusing on is boys and girls ages 11 to 17 years old in the United States. It is inclusive of all ethnicities and cultural backgrounds with varying levels of physical activity, especially high exposure to screen time and sedentary lifestyles. This population matters because physical activity is in a decline during adolescence, unfortunately, and is a very critical part of their development. That's why early intervention can have a significant impact in preventing chronic diseases developing later in life. It will significantly improve mental health and establish lifelong healthy habits.
So, before we dive into the how, we need to look at the why. So, current literature shows us a concerning trend, and that is that transition to adolescence marks the linear decline in physical activity. This isn't just happening in high school, but it's starting as early as 7 years old. We see this across all demographics in the United States, and this is largely due to digital entertainment becoming our primary competitor for a child's free time. In our rationale for play, it is a multi-dimensional process, and this is done by building these habits early, where we aren't just helping kids today, but we're promoting longevity and reducing future healthcare costs. This appeals to both health professionals and for parents and educators. So, for parents and educators, we focus on how activity boosts academic performance and mental health. But for the kids, we want to focus on the social integration and, most importantly, to have fun with it. So, for the formative evaluation, we've rooted our approach in expert research, and the director of the Center of Developing Child at Harvard University notes that play is one of the most important ways of which a children learns. And our program is built entirely on that philosophy. For our guiding theory, to ensure our intervention is effective and measurable, we are using the social cognitive theory as our guiding framework. Specifically, we are focusing on meeting three basic psychological needs that drive behavior change. First of all, is autonomy. Children are often told what to do all day, and providing choices within our play based activities, we're able to help them develop self determination. Secondly, is competence. As these children play these games, they help build confidence in their physical activity. So, something as simple as these wins on the playground translate to more confidence in other areas of their lives. And then, lastly, relatedness. So, finally, play is about community. So, collaborative activities build social cohesion and also give children a shared sense of belonging. And by addressing these three pillars, we believe that we can reverse the decline in activity and make movement a permanent part of their lifestyle.
Goals and objectives. Our primary goal is to increase overall physical activity levels among youth by promoting regular, enjoyable, and accessible exercise habits. We have three objectives: activity frequency, engagement, and confidence. Ensure participants engage in at least 60 minutes of physical activity 3 to 5 days per week within the program timeframe. Achieve at least 80% consistent attendance by offering fun, inclusive, and varied options like games, sports, and group activities. The last objective is confidence, which is we expect by the end of the program, 75% of participants should report increased confidence and understanding of physical activity importance.
So for our logic model resources, we're going to have four categories. The first category is going to be participation from school educators and parents. So school educators such as teachers will be encouraged to help students move around during the day, such as between lessons, running around the classroom a few laps, or jumping jacks in place, or doing air jump ropes. And then for parents, they are also recommended to help their kids exercise after school or stay moving, such as walking for 30 minutes outside around the neighborhood or at a park or playing at a playground. And then for nutritionists, we are going to need registered dietitians. So these RDs are going to be educating students about healthy eating habits, what healthy eating looks like, and what kind of nutrients they should be aiming to give their body. And then for volunteers, staff for after school programs. So they could be volunteer teachers or parents or guardians. They can monitor after school exercise clubs, make sure these kids are playing safely, to maybe even help them start their games just so that they're moving around and they're monitored. So for the policy, we are going to have a policy mandate. So it's going to be a mandatory daily 30-minute gym period and an after school open gym. So these will ensure that kids stay moving after school. So maybe if their parents are unable to walk with them or help them exercise, they can stay after school for an open gym and exercise or play with their friends. Next is going to be our logic model processes, so our intervention strategy. The core strategy is to rebrand exercise as play. So of course it's easier for children to see exercise as play rather than something that is mandatory, something that's a chore, something that is going to be graded. If it's seen as more fun and more play-like, then they are most likely to adhere to exercise and moving around daily. So it's going to be focused on 3 levels. So first is the policy level. So it's going to be a mandate participation of an outdoor or sport activity for adolescents after school. So this ensures that they're still participating in some kind of sport or activity so that they continue moving. And then for environmental, so it's going to be building a large centrally located park for multiple schools to utilize. So it just creates a common area for children to play on. Even after school, whenever school is out, they have that common area to play with their friends and to stay moving as well. And then for community, is going to be sharing a common interest that will invite the individuals into their own community of like-minded students in their area. So again, this is just reiterating the importance of exercising and moving around as a group rather than individually, because that way it's seen as more fun and more play-like, and of course which will be more enjoyable for students and children to exercise. There will be 3 specific program activities. Although they are not technologically innovative, they do focus on natural growth and instinctive behaviors. Informational contains teachers, coaches, and community volunteers teaching the rules of games, sports, and activities. In behavioral, group play develops their sense of self, autonomy, and the required stimulation needed for adolescence. For social, implementing a reward system turns goals into visible progress. The friends made in the program and community will naturally encourage frequency and participation. The effectiveness of our program is going to be measured off of tools such as accelerometers, pedometers, and heart rate monitors. So some students will be selected randomly to wear these devices and will be listed to track and log their data daily. So short term, our goal is to capture attention and maintain it. And then for midterm, we are going to keep track of how many students are frequently coming back and how many are not as frequent. Then for long term, wearable activity tracker based interventions, they increase physical activity time and daily step counts after intervention. So the data collected will determine whether the program is successful or not, and the amount of returning children and how much physical activity they get.
For the implications of this program, it can be divided into 3 categories: policy, research, and practice. For the policy aspect, if successful, schools should adopt mandatory daily physical activity and structured after-school play programs to increase youth activity levels. However, if unsuccessful, policymakers should reassess barriers that affect student interest and modify policies to better support participation. For the research aspect, if successful, future research can explore the long-term sustainability and scalability of play-based interventions across diverse populations. However, if unsuccessful, researchers should investigate which components, like engagement, environment, motivation, were ineffective and how factors like screen time, sleep, and physical activity interact with adolescents. And finally, for the practice aspect, if successful, practitioners should implement play-based socially engaging activities to improve adherence and enjoyment of physical activity. And if unsuccessful, practitioners should adapt the program to better match youth preferences and enhance motivation strategies.